Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I am your host, Chris Duffy, and this is Wrong Answers Only. This show is produced by LabX, a public engagement program at the National Academy of Sciences. And for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, the National Academy of Sciences is a private, nonprofit institution that gives the government objective, evidence-based advice. LabX is the team at the NAS that takes all that fancy science and makes it fun. They create video games, shows, board games, and video series to make it digestible. And on today's show, you and our panel of comedians are going to learn all about marine biology. We're also going to find out what our guest scientist does when he is not doing his research. And I want to point out, this is an interactive show, right? So the beauty of doing this online is that we can get you all involved. We want to hear your jokes. We want to hear your questions. We want you to play these games right along with us. If you look on your browser right below where you're watching, you should have the ability to type comments and questions, which we're going to use throughout the show. We'll be getting you involved. So if you can't see that, you might need to get out of full screen. Sometimes that helps. And you should also see polls next to the chat box. If you can't find that, if you're having trouble with that, don't worry, you can have fun just watching. But I see some questions rolling in already, so that's great. After tonight's show, you are going to receive a post-show email with links to get deeper into our scientists' work and more comedy from each of our panelists. But for now, let's get right into it. Today, we have an incredible panel of comedians. I'm so excited about this. They're going to be playing along with us. We've got Chrissy Shackelford, Rob Hayes, and Julian Shapiro-Barnum. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
And now we're going to find out who today's expert is. So listen, I could tell you about him, but better than me telling you about him, let's have him tell you about himself. Here's a video.
Two main components of my research. One is trying to see the world of marine creatures from their perspective. And that really leads into my work on fluorescent proteins and bioluminescence and designing a shark eye camera. And the second theme is thinking about the process of a marine biologist in today and what it might look like in 50 years. So that's led to a robotics collaboration where we're designing really gentle, cutting edge kinds of ways in which we could do marine biology. Hi, I'm David Gruber. I'm an ocean explorer, marine biologist, and a college professor.
David, thank you so much for being on the show and letting us talk to you about your work.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
Okay, so panelists, you're going to get a chance to talk a lot to David over the course of the show, but this is your first opportunity to ask a marine biologist about his work. We call this You Do What? And so what's the first question you want to know? Rob, right off the top of your head, what's the first question that you want to ask David about his work?
I seen bioluminescence was in the video. Would you ever want for your skin to glow in the dark?
I would. I even call it, yeah, I think it would be cool if I can glow. It would be an added little feature.
Okay, you've definitely gotten that question before. That was like you had that prepped and had thought about it already.
I thought I was going to throw him off.
No. Okay, Chrissy, your turn. What do you want to know? What's your first question for David?
Okay, great. I should have done research into you because I'm blown away by the bioluminescence. I heard marine biology and my thought process ended there. So the first question I wanted to ask you, and I'm just going to go with it, could a human actually live inside of a whale?
Ooh, could we live inside of a whale?
I was raised very religiously.
Okay, I was going to say.
It's been a lingering question for years.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. I'd be into it. I don't think so. Even interesting, like we're studying sperm whales now, and I was consulting someone to look at the microbiome, and then they asked me a question. They're like, "How many stomachs does a sperm whale have?" And it kind of stumped me. I was like, "How many stomachs?" I went back and I found this like one paper that shows there's 4 stomachs. So it would be kind of like asking if you could live in a cow stomach or something like that too. So
okay. Well, I actually love that the sperm whale is a proponent of multi-unit housing. It sounds like.
Exactly. Yeah, multi-unit. So yeah, you could have 4-room apartment.
Okay, Julian, you're up. What's your first question for David?
Yeah, I just want to know, like, how often in your work are you soaking wet?
Great question.
Yeah, I think that was like, that's actually the sad thing in the early part of my career. It was like cold and wet all the time. There's been, I started out actually as a professional diver before I even went into marine biology, but like I've had jobs where I'm in the water like 8 hours a day. And yeah, and then I think as you move along in your career, you get in the water less and less and less. So I only get wet, even just a few, a month of the year now.
That's hard.
We're getting some questions from the audience. We have one question that is definitely from someone who is also a marine biologist or knows a lot about marine biology. I don't understand it, but I'm going to ask it to you. Are the fish using the luciferase enzyme system or another?
I had that same question, so thank you, viewer.
Yes, of course. Yeah, they're using the luciferase enzyme. There's a bioluminescence is really almost every animal uses these two things. The way that I would explain it is like it's like one is a fuel, and one is the spark plug. So it would be like luciferase would be the fuel, and luciferin would be the spark plug. And so yeah, there's many different components. Fish have figured out how to do that over 100 different times. So yes, almost all bioluminescents have that same luciferin component.
Okay, I love that. For me, this was like an almost impossible question, and you're like, obviously yes. Why would you even ask that? Okay, so panelists, David is famous for discovering all sorts of biofluorescence in undersea creatures that was previously unknown, and he has really changed the way that we see the undersea world. So in this game, I'm going to show you some photos from his research, and you'll have to guess what's going on. We call this nature's glow up. So let's start with this image, which I want to be clear. This image, I did not doctor it in any way. I pulled this straight from one of your scientific papers, David. This one really blew my mind. Panelists, look at this photo and tell me what you think is happening in this image.
Wait.
Okay.
Is it a?
Okay, what do you think?
Is it a jellyfish with lasers being shot into it?
I mean, it absolutely. That is a strong guess. Chrissy, you have a guess?
Yeah, I do have a guess. I actually do have a guess. Okay, I think you were under the water doing your like little creeping on this world, and you came upon a condom that was just thrown into the ocean, and a little eel, jellyfish, whatever that is, a little green ball fish is stuck underneath the condom and is like shooting its message through its eyes because it can't freaking speak, no matter what Finding Nemo tells us. And it's trying to say, help me, I'm trapped in this condom. I'm going to assume that's correct.
Great. And Rob, what would you like to venture a guess as well?
I mean, it's clear you picked this because it's October. This underwater being is being carved like a jack-o'-lantern by lasers. Like that's obvious.
Okay.
So I have to say, oh, sorry, what?
No, please, Julian, go.
Oh, I saw it and I got so excited and I was like, oh, I'm gonna be the first to guess what it actually is. I was overwhelmed by how cool looking it was that I was desperately wanting to identify it. So sorry for not like a silly answer.
No,
mine wasn't silly, Julian.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was dead serious.
Yeah, sorry. Guys.
Okay,
so I wanted to call your idea silly.
David, what do you think? Which of these was correct, or were none of them correct?
Chrissy's right.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Chris's was kind of Julian's answer, but plus there's a condom on top of the animal.
Second is Rob. Second is Rob. It was close, so that was
okay.
And then third comes in Julian. It is a jellyfish. I think it's like 800 meters. The jellyfish has got the name called Deepstaria enigmatica, which I think if I'm a jellyfish, like that's a good name. And they've only been seen like a few times. So this is like a rare, we're shooting the laser at it to get an idea how big it is, because like it's hard to know how big it is. And and then later it got all kind of caught up in the thrusters of the ROV and we got some close-ups of it. But we're using this really cool camera here, this hyper low light camera called a Canon ME20, and we were just using a pen light so we could see bioluminescence. And then we had this hyper fancy camera there. And anyway, it was cool. We were just so excited. In the same trip, we also filmed a vampire squid with the,
Ooh.
Whoa.
I love this.
I didn't write a paper on that though, but we wrote a paper just because this was so cool of a find, the deep starry enigmatica. It hadn't been seen in a bunch of years. And anyway, lots of
Starry Enigmatica also to me sounds like it could be the name of an upcoming Lady Gaga album or tour, for sure.
1000%.
Julian hit the nail 100% on the head. I thought that originally when I saw this that it was some sort of creature shooting lasers out of its eyes, but you're shooting lasers at it. Let's look at it in its context on the scientific paper, just so you can see that it really is pulled directly from there. There you go. That's the real paper. And let's go to our next one. Okay, so this is another image from one of David's scientific papers. Okay, what is happening here? What do you think is happening here? Remember, totally fine to you can guess for right, you can guess wrong, anything in between is fine.
Okay, I gotta say, I know with 100% certainty, David, you were, this right here is you being a cameraman on the upcoming Avatar sequel. The Way of Water?
Yeah.
Not gonna say yet. I want Robin, Julian.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rob, any guesses? Julian, any guesses?
Yeah, no, this is clearly a coral reefs audition tape for Planet Earth. Like that's they trying to get on Netflix just like everybody else in entertainment, and so they putting a reel together, to try to get on. So this coral reef hired a camera crew. You was involved, to make sure nobody touched it, killed it, and nothing like that. So
okay, two highly produced, high entertainment value answers. And Julian, what do you think?
With the third entertainment value answer, I'd say without a doubt, your side hustle is you're a gaffer for underwater clubs, and you just went in there and hit it with some good party lighting so that the coral can bust it down, sexual style.
That's great. Okay, David, who was right? And obviously, one of these three was right. So which one was it?
It was this one was Rob.
What actually is happening here?
So what is happening here is that object that the light is on is a little shark called a swell shark, and it is 10 o'clock at night. I'm down at like 120 feet in the Scripps Canyon in San Diego, and that is a shark eye camera that I spent 2 years making. Yeah.
You made that camera?
Yeah, we made the camera.
What does that mean, shark eye camera?
So this got all more complicated. So first we found this picture is not doing it justice because you have to show like the fluorescent shark to see. So there was sharks that if you shine blue light on them, that they have this compound in their skin that absorbs the blue light and turns it into other colors. So it was a cool phenomena. Almost, very few sharks had this. And then we started asking the question, like, what does it mean? So there's two cameras that we actually have. This camera stimulates it so we can see it really well. And then we designed this other camera too that was then tuned in to the pigments of the shark eye. We actually took that same, not that shark, but another shark to an eye doctor and had its eye examined. Because we got these computer screens are made for our human eyes, but not all animals have different kinds of eyes. So then we made another camera that can see like that shark and then filmed it. So this was all part of a kind of bigger study that I did.
How do you get like an appointment for the eye doctor? Do you you just call up the office and are like, listen, I've got a weird request for you? Or like, how do you make that initial outreach of like, I want you to look at a shark's eye?
The sharktometrist?
The sharktometrist. There's only a few scientists that even do this stuff anymore. There's a technique called like microspectrophotometry. And there was a scientist in Cornell, Ellis Lowe, that he has his own portable microspectrophotometer. So we could go down, and most of what we know are from a few scientists that do this. So once you kind of scan the eye and get an idea of what pigments are there, like if you look at a human, you'll see that we have red, green, and blue, cones, and we've got some rods there. So And if you look at other primates, we have the similar kinds of eyes. So I'd automatically be able to tell, like, oh, just by the composition, this is an animal that lives a day, and it sees color, it sees this range of the sun. So you could kind of get these ideas. If I looked at the shark eye, it only had one pigment in its eye, and it only saw at the blue-green interface, but it had these really long rods, which rods allow you to see really good at night. So anyway, we kind of learned that when the eye doctor gave us the information, we could then design the camera. Especially it was easy because the shark only had one pigment. So it was the easiest. We did this with a turtle later, and it got much more complicated.
Well, we're getting a lot. The audience is very excited about this. We're getting a lot of comments here. People say you should definitely put a reel together, that they want to make a Jaws crossover with an optometry office. And I also want to make sure that we can't just leave Julian's guess unfollowed up on. So David, if you did run an undersea club, what would the club be called?
I'd call it the Shark Cafe.
The Shark Cafe, okay.
Okay.
There's actually is something, it even has a Wikipedia site called the Great White Shark Cafe. And it's a place it's like the middle of the Pacific where the sharks go to, white sharks go to and hang out there, but nobody knows, there's no food there or anything. So they're not sure what they're doing there. So anyway, I would call it the Shark Cafe.
I love that you took an existing location and just made it not racially based. That's fantastic. That's a really good decision.
I seen Floyd Mayweather at the Shark Bar one time.
Where's the Shark Bar?
It was in Atlanta. The original Shark Bar, I believe, was in New York, but the Atlanta Shark Bars, I saw Floyd Mayweather and the Money Team.
Wow.
So that's promising for you, David. That's certainly promising. Well, let's move on to, we got one more photo and then a video. This is our last photo. Let's finish this round with one of David's most famous discoveries. This is the first glowing reptile that has ever found, a biofluorescent sea turtle. What is happening though in this photo? What are they doing with that biofluorescent sea turtle?
Makeover.
I was gonna say that's like a makeup palette.
Okay, Chrissy and Julian agree. We're making over this. They knew it was going to be on the news. They had to give that turtle a makeover before it hit the news. Rob, agree, disagree? You have your own guess?
I mean, I definitely saw the makeup route going, or maybe they trying to like match up the colors. So then they holding up the makeup to the turtle, and then they're gonna take it back to the people like, hey, if you want to look like this turtle, we got the perfect match for you,
David, what is happening here?
I'm a turtle stylist, and I've been working. What is happening here is we're doing an eye test of the turtle. It's like, you go to the eye doctor, they like show all these things to you. We're getting to that. But okay, so every time you go deeper, everywhere you go in the world underwater, depending on the water quality and the depth you're at, it could be different. Like you could be in like really green, murky water, and then you could be in like that beautiful Caribbean, like blue turquoise water. But so if you're living in one of these different kind of colored environments, that'll affect your vision. So if I'm making a camera to see like this turtle, I needed to, like, it was as I went down this road of trying to like embody a turtle and be a turtle and see the world from a turtle. Then like in one of the questions the reviewers gave me is like, we need to know the color of the water that you're in. And then so this is a color chart. And then when I shine this special camera on it, I could calibrate it to the real colors and then see what the colors are on the turtle.
So do you have beef with Lisa Frank? Because I feel like Lisa Frank be changing all the colors of the sea and stuff, and I feel like y'all wouldn't get along.
Would you like to take this as an opportunity to kind of clarify or?
I think you should make your own trapper keepers, your own folders, your own stuff with the real colors, because we need to know kids out here getting misled. They're thinking it's all kind of pinks and purples down there that don't belong.
That's what I thought. I just bought Lisa Frank Crocs yesterday. That is true.
Julian, you have something to say?
Anecdotally, Lisa Frank DM'd me 2 days ago and I did not respond, but
wow,
maybe I now will.
Yeah, now you have something to say. I just talked to
Yeah.
your arch enemy, David Gruber,
Yeah.
marine biologist.
But what I was gonna ask is, so I just want to clarify because this is so crazy. So it's kind of like a white balance type deal. It's allowing you to see the true colors underwater without the added filter of the color of the water.
Yeah, there's two steps
Cool.
we do
That's
here.
so interesting.
We also dropped this other device in called
Mhm.
a compact optical profiling. So
Mhm.
as it goes down, it also checks all the different colors. So then you could draw a curve. And then we could also calibrate the camera, like a white
Mhm.
balance you're saying on this. So it's all about, trying to embody the turtle, man. It's a lot of work,
Well, one
and
question that the audience is asking that I think is a great question is what's the evolutionary advantage to bioluminescence? Like, why do they glow? I assume it's not just so we all go, this is really cool. What,
yeah.
or maybe it is.
Well, there's two things that we're like, okay, so there's glowing animals, which are like the real glowing stuff, like the fireflies, like these are the original glowers. So we use the word glowing a lot with fluorescent, but it's not really, they're not making their own glow. They're actually like absorbing the blue ocean light and throwing out other colors. So we've been finding that that's really important in the blue ocean world because everybody's eyeballs are different down there, and then sometimes it allows them to have like a secret channel where they can just see each other, or it could be used for camouflage. So they're two different phenomena. They're both kind of one making its own light, one's transforming light. But and they both have like similar things. So I could just go through. You could use it for defense, and like and kind of lure things with it. You could use it for prey, for attraction of like male and females could use it to lure each other or have specific patterns that are sexually dimorphic. They could be used for just blending in. If you have a special fluorescent pattern on and you're among like a fluorescent coral, maybe something won't see you. The cool thing about this is we started designing like shark eye cameras and turtle eye cameras, and then when you start seeing the world from each one of them, like you see when a turtle sees a shark, sometimes they just freeze, and then you notice that the sharks, they see like motion really good, some sharks. So that's a good advantage. If you stop moving, the shark like will not see you anymore. That's a good way of not getting eaten. So I don't know, as you start noticing how animals see who's eating who, a lot of these kind of mysteries start coming into play.
Very cool. Well, we have an amazing behind the scenes video, which David, you shared this with us. And I think is incredible just because it's so rare that we see like the moment that a scientist has discovered something. And we have the video right after you'd seen this turtle for the first time. No one in the world knew that there were reptiles that glowed like this. And you saw one for the first time. Here is the video of the moment after you discovered this, you and your scientific partner here.
Hey, what did you find?
We found a biofluorescent turtle. The first I've ever seen.
And it was just hanging out with us.
He bumped into my camera.
God. Look at this fucking sky.
I love that is my favorite part of the video, is that you guys are so pumped up that at the end you're like, wow, look at the sky, man. That makes
I
me
have to
laugh
say,
so much.
and like, I'm so glad you're safe. Because it's spooky season, I was waiting for an alligator to pop up and pump you both up.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That's amazing.
Someone, you can feel the euphoria that you both felt. It's like you popped up out of the water and you were instantly on mushrooms. It's incredible. Someone said that it looks like the scene from Close Encounters with the Flashing Lights message too, which I absolutely agree. David, what can you kind of put into words how you felt in that moment, like when you made a big discovery like this?
Yeah, well, this was like first off, on this trip, I was on this like art science expedition from this organization called TBA 21, and they didn't know me yet. I was like the artist I was supposed to working with kind of got sick, and I just went on my own. And I got there and like my equipment broke on the airplane over. So I show up there and like all my gear is like broken. And you know, I could just see, I just felt like a loser, you know, like I got all the way there and my equipment's not working. And then like one day I just like took everything apart again, you know, and like put it together, and it was like working. And I just went out, and we're really remote in the Solomon Islands, and there was, during the day we heard there's crocodiles all around this area too. So
okay, so Chrissy was almost exactly right that was a real possibility.
So there were
How murky was it? Could you see?
Yeah, you can see, but it was really close to shore, and there, you know, and I knew that area too. There was a big crocodile that hang out on this kind of like this freshwater where that was coming in. And so I was just, the whole time I was like, man, this is, you know, this is a little sketchy, but my camera's working, and I got to show these people that I'm like, you know, I'm a real scientist, and my gear. And they, you know, they paid to bring me all the way out here. So we're diving, and you know, and the funny, it's like I normally wear glasses too, so when I'm underwater I don't even see that well, because I mean,
this is literally a horror movie that you're like, everyone thinks I'm a loser. There's a giant there's a giant alligator. My camera's
but they
broken.
paid me
so well.
Yeah.
I mean, that is straight up a horror movie, Chrissy.
So, but it's good though, because I'm focusing on the viewfinder of my camera, because that's what I'm looking at. So I'm just like filming and looking in the viewfinder. And then I'm filming fluorescent coral, and I was like looking, and I was focusing, and like so in the mode of like, you know, getting the focus right. And then like all of a sudden this like UFO spaceship fills my screen. And I was like, you know, like looked down and like looked above my camera, and I just see that fluorescent turtle there. And it was just this moment where it was like surprised too. It like looked at me, you know, it's like, what are you doing? You know, like, you know, give this kind of, and then it kind of swam and it went down a little bit, but I wasn't paying any attention to my depth gauge. So I was just kind of following it down, you know, and then we hit another ledge, and I kind of did a fly around it. And then, I don't know, then I could tell I was kind of bothering it a little bit. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna let this turtle go. But then it was like, as soon as that was happening, we even kept swimming for another like 5 minutes, like kind of like processing what just happened. And then when we popped up there, that was the moment, you know. And it was just awesome that these guys had a film crew like on the boat. So they, you know, they had to like, I remember we came up and we were all excited, and they were like, their sound wasn't working. And then eventually we got the sound working. But yeah.
Was that a second take of you coming up?
Can we get that again?
Yeah, there was a second take actually, because I think they said, wait, what did you find? Because he finally got his sound working there. So, but anyway, we were still awaiting.
Wow.
But even at the time though, I didn't know it was going to be a big deal. Like I was just like, all right, this is cool. And I tried to even write it for a publication. I got rejected. And I wrote the editor, I'm like, this is the coolest thing I've seen in like 20 years. And you're rejecting this. So anyway, and then I found another journal that was like, all right, we'll publish it. But then Nat Geo put it online, and it went really viral, and
Nat Geo,
Saturday Night Live. And then it got like a discovery of the decade from Nat Geo. So yeah,
you didn't need that Zoo Books article at all, man.
Fuck Zoo Book.
Well, we have we're going to move on a little bit, but first, someone from the audience, just to make it even more of a possible horror movie thing. Someone says, I've heard that some undersea creatures, ones that eat bioluminescent animals, evolve to have black lined stomachs so that no one can see them just because of their dinner. Is that true? That sounds even more terrifying.
I'll buy it.
Okay, great. Well, that wasn't, you know, that's true. You're just like, I'm plausible. Sure, why not? Someone in the audience says that's true. Okay, well, listen, panelists, Rob, Chrissy, Julian, you have a sense of David's excitement. You have a sense of what it sounded like when he discovered the turtle for the first time. We actually have video of the glowing shark, another one of David's discoveries. However, this notably does not have any audio. So I'm hoping that you can help us and you can add some narration over this over this video. You can narrate how excited, you know, what you think David and his fellow scientists were saying as they were filming this one. So we'll play that video. Please just voice over the audio however you feel, whenever you feel compelled that you are David and his fellow scientists seeing these glowing sharks. So here's the discovery of the glowing shark.
Man,
I can't see shit.
That shark's great, but guys, did you see the fucking sky out there?
Yo, that sky was
God.
crazy, dog.
Like, this is whatever, but oh wow. That was
Okay.
amazing.
All right. I think that's perfect. I think that's a
You ever
perfect
seen
one. We can stop it
Somebody
there.
drop a glow stick.
That's really great. Okay, so moving into a new realm of David's research. David's research, it hasn't just changed the way that we see creatures underwater. It has also led to some really exciting changes in the technology that we use to interact with undersea creatures. So let's get a little deeper into that in a segment that we call Soft Robotic Hands. So David, what are soft robotics and why is that important in your work?
Well, soft robotics, like this whole saga starts. I was elected as an emerging explorer at Nat Geo, and I was like showing my work to the society, and I had this image from a submarine where I was using this robotic claw to try to like, you know, look at some coral on, you know, really deep. And then in the audience was this researcher, Rob Wood, who's like a pioneer of soft robotics, and he came up to me afterwards and just was like, have you ever heard of soft robotics? These really delicate things. They're just made more like human hands. And
Have you ever heard of soft robotics? That's a classic line that someone says when they come up to you too.
Yeah, have you ever heard of soft robotics? So yeah, that just started this thing. And then we were like, all right, maybe we can try this, you know, like let's, instead of using titanium claws, let's use these little squishy things to work underwater. And we started like, we're like, well, what's going to happen if we put this squishy thing all the way at the bottom of the ocean? Like, will it implode? You know, we like put a GoPro on it and sent it down to the bottom, and then it was like fine. And then we're like, yeah, of course it's fine. There's like jellyfish down there. So, you know, and then now we started designing all these soft hands, and I don't know. Then there's another thing. Well, then I was in a submarine 1,000 meters at the bottom of the ocean in the South Pacific. And I saw all this stuff that I didn't know what it was. And I was just imagining like setting up a laboratory inside the, like on the submarine and having these little arms come out of the submarine that would be like, I'd be wearing a glove and these floppy arms would come out, and then I could just set up a lab bench there. Anyway, that's how all this came about.
I love that you're the only person I've ever met who could just casually drop. And then I was 1,000 meters below the sea in the South Pacific.
I know, your life is too cool.
Someone in the audience is also saying soft robotics are robots that are too emotional. So I want to talk more about soft robotics. I think it's really interesting that, especially like as you're trying to interact with the undersea life, you don't want to damage it. You want to talk about it. You want to like touch it in a way that doesn't hurt it, but still lets you examine it. To get a sense of what this actually is like for both for the panelists and for the audience, I'd like to show a couple short clips of what soft robot hands in action might actually look like. These are some real examples of soft robot hands. So let's look at this video real quick.
Oh God.
No.
Oh, just wait.
It looks exactly like Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes, it's definitely hot dog fingers.
Yeah. Wow, I love
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay, so like they're doing some cool stuff, but as Julian pointed out, it is exactly the hot dog fingers alternate universe from Everything Everywhere All at Once. Someone in the audience is also asking, have you ever felt what it's like to be grabbed by the robot's arm? I can't imagine that it would feel good to be touched by that hot dog fingers, but what was it like? Did you like it?
Did you love it?
I like
to miss it.
About it. Yeah, I think about it a lot.
Yeah.
But we even went further. We designed a graduate student in Rob Wood's lab, Nina Sinatra, developed an ultra gentle linguini finger, she calls it.
Okay, wait, now hold on. I gotta stop you right there. You're telling me a grad student named Nina Sinatra developed linguini
fingers.
That is a hate crime. That is a hate crime.
Come on, New York, New York.
Hey, New York, I'm Nina Sinatra. Look at my linguini fingers. I don't think you can say that in 2022. We're gonna get an Italian, the Italian American Society is gonna cancel this show immediately. Okay, so and Nathan and another young man named Nathan, last name Famous, invented the hot dog hands. You know, okay.
Nathan Famous.
Nathan Famous hot dog.
So these linguini fingers, they're ultra gentle.
They're really, really gentle. We figured they quantified it, and they could touch things with 1/10 of the pressure that your eyelid resting on your eyeball. Like that's how gentle.
Whoa.
And then we
Okay.
tested them on a jellyfish. We wanted to see if we can not harm, like, can we touch a jellyfish without stressing it? And we published this in Current Biology, like testing the ultra gentle robot finger on a jellyfish. And then we showed that it didn't stress the jellyfish.
Are you working on patenting this for humans?
I
So
mean,
you can be touched without being stressed.
I was gonna say.
Human.
Yeah, I think there's, I mean, everybody's using these now. They're like picking strawberries with them, you know, they're like,
Oh.
you know.
I think they'll do a lot more than just pick strawberries with them, based on what you said.
What do
This
you
has
mean?
this has adult toy written all over it. Soft, a touch lighter than your eyelid on your eyeball. Be caressed by Nina Sinatra's linguini fingers all over your body. Come
And are
on.
you hungry? You can eat them afterwards, baby.
I mean, this is incredible stuff.
This stuff's gone all wrong. It's gone all wrong.
I would actually argue it has gone all right. And listen,
finally, we've created something good for the world.
well, listen, panelists, we're obviously there's a lot more to talk about on this. David, it is true that you and your collaborators are constantly looking for new ways to improve soft robotics, though, right? This is cutting edge stuff. So you're still in the process of designing new ones.
Yeah, we did like a soft robotic finger, we did a soft robotic wrist, we did a soft robotic arm, we did a teleoperated soft robotic glove. So
Okay.
a glove that you move the glove and then the arm worked on a submarine. We then came up with another device called a rotary actuated dodecahedron, which is like a flat sheet of paper, origami inspired, that you
So
twist
many
one-
words you have said tonight have 5 too many consonants for me.
rotary actuated dodecahedron.
Yeah, don't say it again. How dare you? Not again. Once was too many times.
Dodeca means 12, right?
Yeah. So
Hell
12.
yeah.
Nice,
Hell yeah,
Rob.
hell yeah.
So it closes it up. The jellyfish is inside, and then you would interact with it, like put a DNA swab on Nina Sinatra's ultra gentle fingers, and then you'd scan it. So you'd get a 3D thing. And then, so basically, like at the surface, you could print out the animal that we saw because you swabbed it with the squishy robotic ultra gentle finger that had like a DNA swab at the end. Then you open it up.
Yeah. The DNA swab at the end, I'll tell you, is not making me think less that it's an adult toy. But okay.
And then you open it up and it swims away and the animal lives.
That's cool.
That's cool, right? So many
That's
times I'm on these deep sea
Mhm.
boats and like all you do is you trawl and you pull up all these animals from really deep and then you open up the bag and all the dead animals sit on the boat, you know, and then you're like, oh my God, this is new to science. This is new to science, you know? So I don't know. I kind of was like, this is a better way of doing things.
Yeah. Well, listen, we have a couple sketches. These are sketches that came from possible new prototypes that you and your team were involved in a brainstorming session recently. We're going to just run through some of these real quick just to show you what they look like, panelists. So here are some possible new prototypes for what a soft robotic hand might look like. We have one that has double sensors. We've got another one that's a little bit more like a colander almost. This next one. We have one that is called the Gripper Star. That's another one here. And then there's one that's multiple sizes, you can see. So there's all sorts of different options here. And as you said, David already told us, like the ideal robotic hand, it lets you interact with the animals without killing them and also get some information about them. So David, would you say that if we could come up with a great soft robotic hand right now, that would be helpful for you and helpful for the field of marine biology in general?
Yeah, the softer the better.
Okay, great. Well, in that case, let's do more than just talk about it. We panelists, I want each of you to participate in the creation of science here. So I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock, and you're going to have 90 seconds to grab whatever you can around your house to create the best soft robotic hand that you can. And when I say go, you're going to run for it. And then when you come back after 90 seconds, David is going to judge who came up with the best option. Okay, does anyone have any questions or are we good to go?
Good
Questions?
to go.
Good to
Great,
go.
okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so while they're out there, David, they've got 90 seconds. They're gonna come back with some soft robotic figures. They are sprinting around their homes right now, causing absolute chaos. It seems like this has got to be the coolest thing ever, to be in a submarine underwater, seeing an animal that perhaps has never been seen by science before, and then have some way of interacting with it with this robotic hand that is not going to hurt it. That's got to be an amazing feeling.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool to just, I mean, even for me, like I'd been a marine biologist for a decade before I could get in a submarine. And like, I had this idea of what the deep sea was like in my head from watching so many documentaries. But then when I was there, you're in it. And it was, it was just mind blowing. Yeah.
Wow. I got to say, this is incredible. We are only at 54 seconds. So they didn't even need the full 90 seconds. Only 1 minute was necessary. Julian barely needed 15 seconds.
I knew immediately.
Julian had a soft robotic hand already created, basically. So let's, since you had yours all the way ready, Julian, why don't you present us first? What is your soft robotic hand? Show it to us on camera and explain it to us here.
Yeah, of course. So you said that you want to find a way to interact with the animal without hurting it. I thought, why stop there? Why not interact with it and entertain it? So I got
oh, wow.
my soft robotic hand is also a Muppet.
I mean,
you can grab it, and when you say goodbye, you can entertain it.
The world where you're like, we discovered a new creature, and everyone in the scientific community is like, is it that one? And you're like, no, it's the one that's in that one's hand. That is incredible. The fact you had that so close at hand, Julian, makes me absolutely, I like you even more than I did before. I liked you already, but you've crossed a new level of me admiring you.
Thank you.
Chrissy, you're next on the screen. What did you come up with for your soft robotic hand?
Well, one, I'm pissed. I don't have a fucking Muppet on hand.
I was pretty lame in middle school. And this is one of the remnants of that.
Okay, well, I guess I was pretty cool in middle school because it'll surprise no one that I have a large collection of wigs. And this I would call my Marilyn wig. And you have really been emphasizing soft, okay? So not only is it soft to the touch, you hold it like this, but when you hold it, it's also the spirit of Marilyn's soft voice comes out of it. And look, you've got a netting in here. You can put your hand in.
Okay. Yeah. Soft, sweet, just the faintest hint of tragedy. There's really a lot. There's a lot going for it. Mr. Jellyfish. Okay. Well, Rob, I have to say, when we go to you, the bar is high because not only have we gotten two great inventions, we've really revealed a lot about Chrissy and Julian's past. So what will you reveal with your soft robotic hand that you came up with?
I mean, I guess people who don't know me and haven't seen my shoes on the show would know that I'm a sneakerhead, and so I have a ton of shoelaces right here, kind of inspired by Miss Sinatra, but the difference is Linguini doesn't have a tip. So see,
Linguini doesn't have a tip.
Linguini doesn't have a tip. Shoelaces got a tip. This one's already got a USB port, so you can plug it into whatever computer, you know what I'm saying, you need to, if you got a converter or whatnot. I know they're trying to phase out the old USB, but still, you can make it work. You're a scientist. So yeah, so that's it right there.
David, I got to say, I don't know about you, I am equally surprised to learn that Rob has a pair of shoelaces that have a USB plug-in. And I am also equally surprised to learn, in fact, I would say, if people take one thing away from tonight's show, I hope that they take away Linguini doesn't have a tip. That's
such a good line.
That's a transcendental, that's like a Zen koan that you can really think about for the rest of your life. Like, it does not have a tip. David, you are, obviously, you're the scientist here. You have to use one of these in your research. You signed a legally binding contract before the show. So which of these is the most promising for you? Which are you going to take underwater to the bottom of the ocean and use to trap a jellyfish?
This is tough. I mean, these are all really good. These are all really, really good. And
maybe take a second, talk us through like the pros and cons if you see them of each one.
Well, I'm impressed, at the kind of comedy we got here because, the bar is high. Look at those laces, look at that wig. Which Muppet is that? That just shows, is that?
I made it myself.
Okay.
If you name it now though for me, it'll help decide if we want to make it useful.
Oh,
Oh wow, it's
little
Stingo.
Little Stingo.
Stingo. Okay, well,
Yeah.
let me go one by one. Well, Rob's is very interesting, and I'll tell you why. First,
That's toilet paper. Let's not forget.
Julian, very interesting, because I'll tell you, one day I walked into the lab, and there's one of the grad students who's now a professor at MIT, Caitlin Becker. She was showing me a new thing called entanglement, and like she just like Rob's things of like a bunch of shoelacy things that she had on a vacuum, so that when she pulled the vacuum, they would like retract and grab stuff. And she was like, maybe that's another way of delicately touching stuff with this like entanglement theory. And she was getting all into entanglement on like how they don't make knots. You could design them in such a way. So I think the USB cord is cool. I didn't know shoelaces come with USB cords. So that's already showing that they're high tech. So that's interesting. Chrissy, that wig is very, very interesting.
You want to talk entanglements? John F. Kennedy and Arthur Miller. Okay?
True. There was a lot. There's a lot to unpack there, and and that wig. It's like, first off, I think the deep sea doesn't have enough singing.
Yeah.
I always say
Happy birthday.
Oh.
There's also
sound doesn't travel very well. So.
Check this out. There's a sponge down there that lives 18,000 years. So imagine that, like, happy birthday. I'm not going to sing it, but imagine like 18,000 times that sponge would get the happy birthday from Marilyn's wig. So anyway, immortality. Jellyfish are actually immortal to some of them. But okay, but then now, Julian, with you're calling, what was the name of that Muppet again? I lost the name again.
Little Sprocket.
Well, I thought it was Little Stingo.
Oh, I didn't remember what I said.
I'm sure it was Little Stingo. That's Little Stingo.
Yeah.
Little Sprocket is somewhere else.
I can't escape that.
It's good. That's interesting too, especially because, like, as far as I know, there's not been a comedy show in the deep sea. So this could be introduced, and this could change everything. It could be just boring down there, and
not when Little Stingo gets there.
No, not Little Stingo will cut it up.
Yeah, chambered nautilus is down there to be, interacting with. So yeah.
All right, David, you have, the time is up. You gotta make a pick. Which one? Who you taking down there with you?
I'm gonna bring the shoelaces.
Let's go.
Wow, Little
Let's
Stingo
go.
was
Wow.
robbed.
Let's
Little
go.
Stingo was robbed.
Let's go.
Okay.
He was literally
Congratulations.
Talk about
robbed.
entanglements.
Yeah, entanglement.
Mhm.
Okay, we are coming to the end of this show, but listen, one of the other areas of David's research that is super interesting and we haven't talked much about yet is called Project CETI, which is all about decoding the communication of whales using advanced machine learning and then figuring out a way for us to communicate back to the whales. And panelists, if we do manage to find a way to chit chat with whales, we want to make sure that you three are fully prepared to talk to them. So this is a message for the whales. So David, can you please tell us quickly, how did Project CETI come about?
Project CETI is the Cetacean Translation Initiative, and we're playing with the SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. We're CETI. And it started when I was reading a book by James Nestor called Deep, on freedivers that were trying to study whales. But the science wasn't going very well. And I was up here at Harvard, and I was playing the sounds, and I got invited to this. I happened to be a cryptographer walk by the room, Shafi Goldwasser, who's done amazing cryptography work, and I got invited into this machine learning seminar, and I played the sounds, and they were like, how many do you have? And we only had a few. So then we just kind of like had this moment of like, wow, technology has just reached the point where if we had the right things in place, I think we could understand on a really deeper level, like what whales are saying. So that started this project.
Once again, you being the most interesting person in the entire world, that you're like, I was playing whale sounds when a cryptographer walked by. And next thing you know, we're chatting with the whales. That is incredible. How likely do you think it is that we're actually going to have a conversation with a whale?
Oh, I mean, it depends on what you talk about, a conversation. We always say it's not about like, that makes it sound like human side, like we want to talk to them. It's more about, we're more just trying to understand them, you know, and that's that, you know. So
Okay.
what are they saying? How are they communicating? I mean, it's Moby Dick, and it's these animals that were harpooned and killed for their oil. Even their name, I don't like their name is a misnomer, because when they were whaling them, they thought the spermaceti oil in their head, which is part of their sound apparatus, was part of their reproductive. So yeah, I mean, these animals, they make the loudest biological sounds in the animal kingdom. They're long-lived, they're regional dialects, and they use these clicks to communicate, which is really good for machine learning. So we're just trying to collect like a couple billion of these clicks, carefully annotated, and train the computers to be a baby whale.
Wow.
Nicholas, do you have any questions about this project before we get into the game of it?
Wow, that's really cool.
I just have a message for the whales.
Oh, that's exactly what we're going to do. So
Okay.
listen, let's do that. If and when you actually are able to translate messages into a language that sperm whales fully understand, what message would you each send them, panelists? And think carefully, because David really could pass these notes along. So take a second. What message would you send to a sperm whale?
I got it.
Great. Julian, let's start with you.
Simple, short. I would want to ask, did Dory get it right? Did Dory from Finding Nemo, was she on to something?
All right, David, that's the first one. Chrissy, what about you? What are you going to
Mine's also simple and short. How many men are inside you?
Okay. Well, up for interpretation. And Rob, what are you going to send?
I would warn the whale not to trust everybody. I feel like David's trustworthy, so you can talk to David, but don't just be out here talking to everybody, because everybody's not on your side for real.
Great. I actually, I was gonna suggest that, David, you pick one to pass along, but I actually would love for you to commit verbally right now to passing all three of these messages along in that order, because I think, is Dory right? Was Dory right? How many men are inside of you? And then don't trust anyone. David is cool, but don't trust the rest of them, is as kind of a perfect introduction for the whales.
Click.
And then hang up.
Yeah.
And then hang up. David, will you commit to sending that message to the whales?
Absolutely.
Okay, great, fantastic. That's amazing. I didn't expect you to say yes.
Yeah, I'm done. Pack that away. Did Dory get it right? How many men inside? Don't trust anyone.
Fantastic. And that is a legally binding verbal contract. Okay, let's wrap this show up with, we've talked a lot about David's research, but let's get to know a little bit more about David as a person. We know he's a fascinating individual, but what do we know about his actual life? Not much yet, so let's find out a little bit more. This is a game of 2 truths and a lie. Okay, so panelists, you know the game. We're going to show you 2 true facts and 1 lie. I want you to discuss amongst yourselves which one you think is the lie, and then you'll each come up with a guess. So here are our 3 statements. Which is the lie? David played harmonica in a blues band in rural North Carolina. As a child, David was so scared of the ocean that he wouldn't even touch wet sand. Or David was an extra in the movie Deep Blue Sea 2, and he got eaten by a CGI shark in that movie. Okay, which do you think is the lie? Talk amongst yourselves. What do you think?
Well, David wouldn't even sing happy birthday. So him being in a movie feels a little far-fetched, but also he did this, so.
Yeah, I was also feeling that the movie was a lie.
Yeah, Deep Blue Sea 2 got by me without me even knowing about it. It seems like low production. They might not have been able to afford.
No, it's a big movie.
Graphic images. Okay, it was the second Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let me hit that IMDb.
They kept up the budget. That's good.
Yeah, Julian,
So
you seem very
scared
familiar
of-
with that movie. You were a fan and watched it?
I've seen the first one. I guess, 3.4 out of 10 stars.
Oh, we all seen the first one.
Yeah.
Of course. You know
It's
what I'm
really good
saying?
too.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
The soundtrack, the LL Cool J song, we was there for that. I'm talking about
For
the
the second one, I don't know.
This wet sand is real specific. This is the thing that's kind of got me, because you could really have a good time on dry sand and never get to the wet sand.
Yeah.
So,
Very,
you
and what an
know.
origin story, So I think
Mhm.
that one must be true to have you overcome your fear of the ocean to become marine biologist extravaganza. I think that's true.
Unless he's a freshwater marine biologist, like he really still don't deal with the sand and the salt water. He just be out there like, put me on a boat, drop me in the deep sea, and then I don't rock with the ocean.
And he was in that body of water that had a crocodile, freshwater.
It had a crocodile. Nice sky. He cool with the sky. He's just not cool with the
He
sand.
loves the sky. He could be. He wanted to be an astronaut. It's actually the biggest failure of his life.
Can I ask David a question?
Sure.
David,
you don't have to answer the question.
You don't have to. If Deep Blue Sea, the original came out in 1999, around when realistically was Deep Blue Sea 2 filmed for, a sequel?
Oh, he's trying to stump me. I see what's
because you film movies in relative succession.
Now you don't have to answer that, David.
This ain't to tell the truth.
When I see where Julian's going, this is a shark. You are a shark, Julian. I'm gonna plead the fifth.
Okay. Well,
can I share what I just learned?
I don't know. The answer is I don't know because
before Julian, before you share what you learned, let's go down the line. Let's have each of you say your guess. Rob, which is your guess? Which do you think is the lie?
I'm gonna guess that the Deep Blue Sea 2 number 3 is my guess for the lie.
Okay, Chrissy, what do you think is the lie?
Also number 3.
And Julian, share what you learned and then tell us your guess.
What I learned is that they filmed Deep Blue Sea 2 19 years after the original came out, and the third one came out a year after the second one came out, which is just crazy that they were like, let's bring this back in 2018. So I'm gonna have to go with we're not a harmonica player in a blues band.
So that made you, learning that information made you think that he actually is in that movie. Great. Let's find out which is the lie. The lie is he was not an extra in the movie.
No,
come on.
He was the star of the movie. No, I'm just kidding. He wasn't in it. It's a terrible movie, terrible film. Great career decision, David, to stay out of that franchise. You know what? Sometimes when I'm writing these lies, I take too big a swing. I think this was certainly too big a swing.
Quite a big swing. To add the CGI shark was really like, okay.
But it's true. Your origin story, you didn't even touch the wet sand, and now you are king of the ocean.
Oh, that's a strong.
No.
Yeah, he gonna have to answer the King Triton. Don't put that on.
Yeah, I don't know about the king, but yeah, I was terrified of the ocean, So yeah.
And you played harmonica in a blues band in rural North Carolina.
I did. It wasn't a very good band, and I'm not very good on the harmonica, but yeah.
Who is?
Yeah.
It's not a real instrument. Sorry to the harmonica players in the chat.
Wow. Stevie Wonder left the chat.
Yeah, he actually has. Okay. Well, I feel like we've learned a lot more about you. This was fantastic. Thank you so much, David. We are coming to the end of our show. So we're going to check in on the score, and it looks like Julian has the most points and Chrissy has the least. So unfortunately, Chrissy won by having the most wrong answers. Or if you want to look at it the other way, Julian, you lost by winning. The only clear loser is Rob. Next time, Rob, do better or worse. Okay, before we go, David, why should people who are watching, why should they care about your research? Why does this matter?
Why should they care? I don't know. The ocean's just a cool place. It's 71% of the world. It's the lungs. It's our relatives are down there. That's about it. It's a lot of beautiful things in there, and yeah, just we're all connected, you know, peace.
And what do you hope that audience members take away from tonight's show?
I think the takeaway is like, I mean, I study the ocean just because I love animals, you know, and I love the life that's in there. So just to kind of like get to know the life down there, right? Even like get rid of these notion that all sharks are killers, you know, they're cool. And we got to get to know, like, we don't even know that much about great white sharks. We have so many shows about them eating things, you know, and let's just kind of, you know, get over some of our fears and connect more with it. And, you know, and then even down deep, like it's alien down there. It's like the craziest stuff in the world. You can't even write sci-fi movies that, you know, relate to the realness of there. So just get to know it. But I think it's important, you know, as we get to know it, to just think about how we're interacting with it and not kind of kill the things we love.
That is fantastic. And your work is so amazing. I really, really appreciate you being here with us tonight. Panelists, that's what David hopes that you take away from today's show. What will you actually be taking away? What's your actual takeaway from today's show? Rob, what are you going to take away?
I mean, I'm all about legacy, and so I'm just happy that the Sinatra family has something else to be proud of. You know, Frank Sinatra was in a pack of rats, and now, you know, the new Sinatra's taking us into the robotic age. So I'm super proud of that. Also, I was stung by a jellyfish one time, and everyone offered to pee on me, and I was wondering if that is a appropriate response. Should I have taken people up on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, hey, we all make mistakes. You should have taken them up. Chrissy, what are you going to take away from today's show?
Of course, I think we're all going to take away linguini doesn't have a tip. But I think something that's really going to sit with me is I'm really going to picture what those great white sharks who you said gather in just a place together and don't eat. I'm going to let my imagination run wild with what they are getting together to do. And I'm going to have a lot of fun thinking about it.
I love that. And Julian, what are you going to take away from tonight's show?
So many things, but I think the thing that made me laugh the hardest was just in the face of miraculous scientific discovery, a starry night beats out all.
I love it. What a perfect way for us to end. We couldn't end on a better note. Thank you all so much for playing. Thank you, David, for being here. If you are in the audience, you're going to get an email after tonight's show with bonus information from our expert, links to get deeper into his work, to see more photos, as well as some great jokes and comedy from all of our hilarious panelists. You can get to follow them and figure out more about them. We would also love to get any feedback from you about the show. We're always trying to get better. Also, I would like to just say two of the hilarious comments that have popped up in the chat during that last part, which is, does the blues band bioluminesce after enough blues light? Love that. And also that people are just naming blues musicians who are going to come after Chrissy for disrespecting them.
Okay, sorry.
Listen, hey, they're coming for you, Chrissy. That is it for tonight. We are back next month for our first ever live show. We are live in New York City with a show all about dogs. It will also be streamed, so you'll be able to see it online. But if you're in New York City, it's a free show. We would love for you to come and see it in person. You can register online at labx.org/WAO. In the meantime, though, thank you so much to tonight's expert, David Gruber, to our panelists, Chrissy Shackelford, Rob Hayes, and Julian Shapiro-Barnum. Thank you as well to everyone at the National Academy of Sciences and LabX and our back-end folks, Amechi, Jesse, Amir, Dempsey, Mario on the tech team. Thank you so much to everyone who made tonight happen. I am your host, Chris Duffy, and this has been Wrong Answers Only. Find out more about this show and future episodes online at labx.org/WAO. Thanks so much. Have a good night. Stay blue.
Bye.
Bye.